Hello and welcome to Grumpy Gamers. You're here with me, Pete, and along with me I have Ben.
Hello.
Eddie.
Hello.
And Kirk.
Hello.
Fantastic energy, guys. And that energy is being brought to you by a 2-day hangover and being far too old to deal with it. But
For three of you.
For three of us, yeah. Kirk is bringing all the energy tonight, guys. That's where we've fallen.
Oh, no. That's when most people switch off, when it's a Kirk-heavy episode. Oh.
No, actually, Eddie, we had a fantastic download last week when you weren't on the show.
Oh.
Did we?
Oh, the battle lines are drawn.
I don't think we did.
Stunned silence.
No, I'm talking.
I mean, the figures were fine.
I say they're fine. I think they're not any larger than normal, I think. From what I've seen. So,
well, we'll find out when I tell you later.
Good. Internal division is definitely the way we want to go. Let's move on. So, I mean, obviously we're going to start with the news, and then we're going to bring you the new releases. But what you've been playing this week is Dying Light 2, isn't it, Ben?
Absolutely, yes, a big one that came out last week.
It did, and I still can't believe you found time to play it, but nicely done.
Despite going to see you guys.
How did you find the time? I can understand Pokemon, but that, Jesus.
You know, I took a day. I went to work and played Dying Light all day.
Okay, that still doesn't count as work, but yes, fair enough.
It was in his to-do list for the week, so...
Exactly. I told Eddie I had a to-do list, and Dying Light was at the top of it, and there you go, I've been productive.
Yeah,
fantastic.
That box. Lovely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah. And of course, our feature for today is on the PlayStation State of Play, or more accurately, entirely about Gran Turismo, as the State of Play was.
Yeah.
We'll get to that later. Yeah,
it was something.
It was something.
Yeah,
and we have all watched the entire thing, which you'll understand later. For now, I think we should start with the news. And as has become quite regular lately, I'm going to kick us off, because I wanted to check if you guys had seen the news about Stadia.
I've heard the news about Stadia, yeah.
It's not good news. I mean, The word being used is deprioritised, as Google are focusing now on selling the service's underlying technology to third parties. So, obviously, Stadia's misfortunes are very well documented at this point. We had initial praise for the capabilities at the beginning, a really, really poor rollout, and then a failure to capitalise on any initial interest at all. And now we're at deprioritised and selling the background tech. So it's going well. It's going well.
Yeah, it's going fantastic, isn't it?
Oh, and I completely forgot, of course, that they closed their first-party game development studios within 14 months of launch.
Yes, they did do that.
Yeah,
that was it.
The absolute cherry on top of a shit pancake, essentially, wasn't it? So it's really not gone well. Less than 20% of the team are left there now doing the consumer platform. The remainder are purely tech sales. That's where we are.
Don't you think when it started, their first unveiling of Stadia was at a tech event? It wasn't at like an E3 or something like that. And that sets the tone for the entire thing.
Yeah.
It's like
It's obvious that they don't get it, do they?
You've taken it to potential investors as opposed to your audience. Basically.
And unfortunately, Google has a history of throwing a lot at the wall and just dropping stuff because they're huge, they're massive. They can just go, it's not working, move on.
Yeah,
they didn't give it time.
No, but the tech there is probably quite a bit in the tech. I mean, look at Microsoft and they're doing well with their xCloud equivalent, whatever they're calling it now, just Cloud Game Pass or whatever. Yeah. That's going fairly well. I think some people are having a lot of success for it. I don't think cloud gaming is there totally at the moment anyway. Like
the infrastructure's not there yet, is it?
I don't think, even if you've got incredible internet speeds and all that stuff, I still don't think that it can replace at the moment your standard gaming with the latency and all that kind of stuff. I just don't think it can happen on a consistent basis. And Google have suffered the brunt of that because that's all they were doing.
Exactly, and they're kind of remarketing that technology as Google Stream. And apparently they're in discussions with Capcom over supplying that technology to them to enable them to stream demo titles from their own website. And apparently they'd also made some headway with Bungie regarding a similar deal up until, of course, the acquisition. So that could have fallen through completely. But
what's the difference between that and GeForce Now? Because that's how they demo tech now through GeForce Now. Like, why do they need, unless they're selling it at a budget price, why do they need Stadia to come along when companies already are using GeForce Now to demo tech to investors and all this kind of stuff? That's why there was that huge leak. Or maybe that's why nobody uses GeForce Now.
You may have answered your own question there, Ben.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I mean, it may also be a question of optimization, because that was the major good thing about Stadia at the beginning, wasn't it? Was it seemed really on top in terms of how well it delivered on what it was doing. It's just that it then delivered nothing.
I think we could probably go into why Stadia failed all day, but obviously when they launched, you had a service like Game Pass, which also was launching a cloud-based service, which had all games included. That Stadia went, yeah, pay us money monthly and buy these games.
Yes, yeah.
What?
It's a strong business model.
At full price, yeah, go for it. And that's, okay. And they might not work, so that's even better.
Yeah. I mean, I should point out, by the way, that the only statement from Google on this is that they had said they were still focused on bringing great games to Stadia in 2022 and claimed they'd add another 100 games this year to make it 300 odd. So
wow.
That was the statement. And another source came along to add, there are plenty of people internally who would love to keep Stadia going. So they're working really hard to make sure it doesn't die. But they aren't the ones writing the checks.
Yeah, that's the problem, isn't it? It's already a sinking ship. It's just a matter of time. When does it fully go down? So,
yeah, we're kind of at the point of the Titanic where the captain's ignoring the iceberg, aren't we? At best,
yes.
If not the point where people are playing violins as they drown.
It's the type of thing that someone like me who loves to just try everything new in video games, that I'm the perfect candidate for a customer for them, and they couldn't sell it to me. That's pretty damning.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm the man saying, yeah, all right, just tell me what, when and where.
Give me a reason.
Yeah, give me a reason.
Oh my god.
They couldn't even do that.
Yeah, they didn't even get you. Yeah, we should have known that was coming from that moment, really.
Jeez.
Yeah.
All right. Shall I take us on to
I think you should.
Yeah.
Some positive news.
Positive news. Well, we finally know that GTA 6 is in development. Do you hear about this?
Yeah.
Woohoo.
I mean, it's... sorry, woohoo?
Yeah, I said it. Because it's positive, isn't it?
Yeah, of course it's positive. The amount of fucking... Oh, shut up. Right. So this has come directly from Rockstar. They tweeted about it last Friday. And they said, many of you have been asking about a new entry in the Grand Theft Auto series. With every new project, our goal is always to significantly move beyond what we previously delivered. I didn't even fucking go out with you guys, so I don't know what's my problem.
Yeah.
I think I'm just stupid.
It's your inability to read, Kirk.
It's my inability.
Never again are you doing the new releases section, mate. Jesus.
I think I did all right, so
you did not.
Don't go.
You were horrendous. How the guys congratulated you on your voice change when your voice did not change was, I think, you know when someone does so bad that someone goes, come on, let's just lie and pick him up. Oh, well done, buddy. That was you.
Eddie, that was good management, because you have to manage somebody through the situation.
Yes. No, it's good. Well done, Pete and Ben.
Guys,
that was a good effort.
Okay, at least I fucking showed up.
Well, as I said at the time, Kirk, we expected nothing more. We expected nothing more.
I feel we may have derailed the actual news here. But
Can we crack on with the news and
try
not
and read it this time?
Not attack the guy that was still doing the job.
Go for it.
You're doing well, buddy.
Fuck off. With every new project, our goal is always to significantly move beyond what we've previously delivered. We're pleased to confirm that active development for the next entry in the series is underway. We look forward to sharing more as soon as we are ready, so please stay tuned to the Rockstar Newswire for official details. On behalf of our entire team, we thank you all for your support and cannot wait to step into the future with you. Now, what I like about this is that we finally got some concrete news from a very secretive company. Everybody knows that Rockstar don't ever give out any details unless they are ready to, do they? The only thing with this is it still doesn't give us any information other than, okay, it's in development. You kind of would have expected that. I know that they've been beating the fucking horse to death with GTA 5 and online, but I feel that this has come at a time where, because the new next-gen versions are coming out, for the third generation of a console, the game is coming out on. I think that's why they've said something. It's just to drum up a little bit of interest in it, going, right, well, okay, we know we probably shouldn't do this, but we're going to do it anyway. But if we give them something, then people will be like, oh, yeah, great, yeah. And it helps sell the next thing, basically, doesn't it? Because let's be honest, no one's fucking excited for this, are they?
Do you also think that this is to just move things on a bit from the trilogy that was released? Just to, they can work on that in the background, and they just go, hey, but there's the big...
They fucked that up, didn't they?
Thing
Big
over
time.
there, the piece of gold over there, so don't worry about that. That's going to be great. This was, just move on.
Did you know as well, there's something else that occurred to me when I read this statement, and it made me laugh, was, where they say, fucking hell, that's a loud train, when they say significantly move forward, beyond what's previously been delivered?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but GTA 3, Vice City, and San Andreas, there was not much in those other than just different kind of like landscapes and
graphical
where they were
content.
set. That's it. They were set. They were based on the same engine. There was nothing significant. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
GTA 4, fine. GTA 5, fine. But not those three. So I kind of call bullshit on that one a bit. But what about you guys? Are you kind of excited for this one, or?
I think I will be excited for GTA 6 because everyone else is excited for it. I'm kind of expecting, because it's been so much time, that they're going to do something quite revolutionary, and you do imagine Rockstar are the company to do that type of thing, because despite me personally really not liking Red Dead Redemption 2, undoubtedly the story behind it, it's really good. I didn't like the game mechanics really, but they are masters of their craft of delivering a long story over 40 hours or so.
Yeah,
it's and if they can do something extra. And you wouldn't put it past them to really take advantage of the next gen stuff.
So what I say to that is GTA 3. Let's take San Andreas and Vice City out of it, even though those were great games in their own rights at the time. GTA 3 to 4 was a huge jump. Like that there was a lot more. There was
2 to 3 was bigger.
Yeah.
Obviously top down to 3D. Yeah, of course. But then 5 did go fucking above and beyond of what 4 did tenfold, didn't it? It was a huge landscape that they did. The map was massive, and just
also because of the online stuff. I mean, what they did in the online franchising of that, and where they've moved that to, that series has done quite a lot to gaming. From going GTA 2 to 3, and then what they did with GTA 5. Taught people a lot about how to build a game as a service.
Yes, absolutely.
And what they did from 2 to 3 was actually showing people how to do an open world game. Like Rockstar, if you actually think about it, are really pioneers in gaming.
Pioneers of their craft, really.
Yeah, absolutely. So for that reason, I'm excited for GTA 6.
Yeah. Do you not think the popularity of GTA Online could disrupt the solo campaign? Do you not think that they will see the success of it and go, we need to go guns blazing with that?
I don't think so, and the reason I say that is because GTA has always been a single player experience first and foremost, and I think they just
all of them. But now multiplayer is huge.
Absolutely. But this is where I'm not going to play it. I'm not going to play it if it's online only or anything. I'm not going to buy it.
I see your point, but I would say to that the GTA Online experience is built from a foundation of an exceptional single player game. Without that, I don't know whether GTA 6 Online, if that was the focus in the single player, because they will have a single player, and if the single player is just bad, that would really hurt it. If they just said GTA 6 is online only, which they're not going to do, then they might just focus fully on it and go for it. But because they're going to do a single player campaign, if it comes out and it's not good, it will kill that online thing.
Yeah. So
it needs to be that solid foundation, in my opinion.
I think the key thing for me though, and I'm gonna reference a game we very rarely reference on this show, but for me, I'm going to hold out being excited for now, because we saw the first trailer for Cyberpunk in 2013 and it got released in 2020. This isn't even a trailer. We've seen nothing of this. Mm-hmm. So, am I meant to be excited for a decade? Am I meant to remain excited for that long? Let's see something tangible. Let's see something real before anyone gets on the hype train.
But I'm still one of these people that will, if CD Projekt Red said, "Oh, we've got this huge new game coming out, and it's this, that, and the other," I'd be like, "Oh man, this is so cool! CD Projekt Red are awesome."
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Maybe it's the burn there that still remains from sort of expecting too much. But I'm going to keep a lid on any excitement for GTA 6.
But hang on, like Cyberpunk, I think we all agree is in essence a good game, but they rolled it out too early. I don't think, judging on Rockstar's history of the last 5 years, they're not rushing anything.
No, of course not. But again, it was 7 years between the first trailer and the actual game with Cyberpunk. So if they're not rushing, we could be looking at 15 to 20 years.
Yeah, that sounds more like Rockstar.
You know what? They have said it's coming, and they're
PS6
working
will be
on
out
it. They haven't said when.
before the next GTA, guaranteed.
Yeah,
Rockstar do make about one game every 7 years at the moment, so that checks out.
Yeah, exactly. So let's it's great to know they are working on it. I'd have assumed they were anyway, but until I actually see something real, I'm going to keep myself contained.
Yeah, that's fair.
I do miss GTA 2 though. Good reminder of that one. That was great.
Oh, GTA London. Did you play that one?
Oh, what a game that was
That
as
was
well.
good.
I think that was the only GTA that came on a Nintendo platform. Was that right?
You're the only one who's going to be able to find that out.
I said it. I don't know whether the Ballad of whatever came on. No, I think I'm right in saying the London one was the only GTA that came to a Nintendo. I'm going to stick with that.
You started with so much confidence and then just tailed yourself away.
It kind of faded away, but
it could have been It could have been an easily forgotten statement.
Factually, that is accurate.
Right.
You feel free to sue us if that is wrong.
Then I can edit out. Brilliant.
It's an easy fix. Anyway, away from GTA, what's up next, guys?
I'll go next because I'm about a game as well. Evil Within developer Tango Gamesworks action horror title Ghostwire Tokyo will reportedly take up just 20 gigabytes of space on your PC hard drive. Despite its next-gen tag, Ghostwire Tokyo is a timed PS5 console exclusive. Ghostwire demands comparatively very little space. Tango Gameworks is called Ghostwire Tokyo a supernatural action-adventure thriller, and its story unfolds in an eerie, haunted version of Tokyo after nearly all the city's population has mysteriously vanished. People take on the role of Akito, a young man who awakens in a deserted Tokyo street to discover that strange elemental powers are coursing through his veins. This comes out PlayStation 5 and PC on 25th of March 2022. The game looks brilliant, but yeah, I brought it to the table because we always bang on about games being bigger and bigger and bigger. I even said to Ben a couple of days ago about Warhammer 3 coming out. I'm excited, but I don't think I can fit it on my SSD because I know it's going to be massive. And then you see a big game like this with 20 gigabytes.
Yeah, it's impressive. Do you know the size of Warhammer 3, Eddie?
I told him it was 120.
It's 120 gig. And you think of Warzone as well at, what, 100? Was it?
200.
It's more than that.
Yeah,
it's 200 if you have all of it, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then this is 20. That's,
How
straight for me, that's awesome.
Yeah,
that is awesome.
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah. Because with consoles it's different, but with PC it is limited. I think I've got, as I said to Ben, I think I've got 120 gigabyte SSD. I've got a hard drive, but obviously with games you want it on your SSD. So this will fit lovely. But Warhammer 3 is going on the hard drive.
This is the last Bethesda game. It is. Before everything goes exclusive to Xbox. Mm-hmm. So they're honouring this one. Now, I thought the last one was Deathloop, but it's actually this one. And I did hear recently... Yeah, I did hear recently that this was supposed to be, and originally when we saw trailers, that it was very much a horror game. But they have since turned it into an action
adventure.
It's a supernatural thriller.
It is, but I've heard that it's no longer a horror game. It's actually more of an action game because again, I think I heard this on another podcast, and they were saying that the developers didn't have faith that horror games sell as well as action thrillers these days, action adventure games. So I think I'm just wondering, but when you make a change like that is quite a fundamental change, and at what point in development that happened, because I really like the look of this game, and I did from the start, but
It looks really, the character models and the kind of the enemies that you come across look really sketchy, and
I like that style though. I do like.
The thing is,
they were faceless, like Slenderman looking characters.
Yes, they are.
Wasn't it?
Yeah,
and
very much
that's
so.
really eerie. But why take it down the action route?
Well, the thing is, given that description of a supernatural action adventure thriller, I'm gonna say, Ben, I don't know if they've actually changed anything in the game, or whether they've just gone marketing wise. This is much easier.
Yeah, maybe.
Possibly.
So,
that may be actually the case. And I think the only difference between a true horror and an action adventure kind of horror is just limitation on ammo.
Yeah,
that's the only real difference, isn't it? So I don't know. Let's see how it turns out, because I'm looking forward to this, because Bethesda, and it looks great in the trailers. And if it's 20 gig on a PC, that's fucking fantastic. Yeah. That might play well on a Steam Deck.
Yeah, it might well do. Or your One X.
The One X has problems playing a lot of games.
Okay, Rev. We'll come back to that another day, I guess.
Yeah.
Hang on, is this Ben's way of telling us he's buying a Steam Deck? Is that his way?
He put pre-ordering ages ago. Don't be silly.
Yeah, I've got pre-order already. Don't worry about it.
I was going to say,
I'm expecting an email saying that it's shipping in the next few months. So yeah, absolutely.
Oh, fantastic.
Right, I think it's me, isn't it? I think I'm up next. Right, as I scroll up the dock to my section. Brilliant. Yes, Switch sales have now outsold the Wii. So Nintendo Switch has now sold 104 million units worldwide, beating the Nintendo Wii, which sold 102 million. I think that people always remember the Wii as being a massive seller, and it was, obviously. But I think the key difference between the Wii's massive sales is that it didn't attract repeat game purchases, and it didn't encourage like developers to get behind the system, because people were playing Wii Sports.
Yeah.
Like, that's the problem. Like, despite those massive numbers, and people bought it because it was like an innovative family console, and when you give away Wii Sports with a console, you don't need an awful lot. You get that, you get Just Dance, and your kids are happy and the family's happy.
It was cheap as well, wasn't it? If I remember right.
Yeah, I think it was. I think it may have even been like 180 quid or something like that. Like, I think it came out fairly budget. And nobody was buying like the Zelda games and stuff like that. I don't think I did.
Your grandma and granddad
really...
going into Curry's. Can I get a Wii, please? It's half the price of a fucking PS3.
The problem with I didn't even enjoy playing games on the Wii, really, like proper games, because of the nunchuck and the whatever. It's just a bit shit, I thought. But anyway, the DS handheld consoles that Nintendo do, they sold 154 million in comparison, and now the Switch is the biggest selling home console. So the DS was the handheld, Switch is obviously the home console, but it's this hybrid, so that's now selling more because it's taking over that handheld market for them as well. So just as a quick comparison, the Wii U, so the previous home console to the Switch, sold 13.5 million units.
Terrible.
13.5 million units. And I think we're probably expecting the Switch to have another 3 years in it. So that 104 million that they've currently sold, you've got 82 million of the original Switches, you've got 18 million Switch Lites, and you've got 4 million of the latest OLEDs that came out last year. Yep. And if they do release like a Pro model, or maybe like a 4K model that plugs into the TV or something like that, I definitely think in the next 3 years, given that they sold 22 million units last year, or coming up to April this year, it's looking like it's going to be about 22 million. To hit a 130 to 140 million units by the end of the generation, that's probably where it's going to end up. And that is monstrous. PlayStation 4 got 117.
Yeah.
Like, PlayStation 2 got 155.
Yeah, so we're talking about top-selling consoles ever kind of range. And even Pokemon that came out last week, on day 5, Nintendo tweeted that it sold 6.5 million copies. Yeah. Like, just monstrous numbers. Just monstrous numbers. So are you guys surprised? Because we always talk about the Switch selling big numbers, but you know, you guys obviously are more the kind of more powerful consoles. That's what you focus on. I suppose. But yeah, what do you think about these numbers?
Well, I mean, the thing for me is it does surprise me, but not that much, I suppose. I mean, partially because it's difficult to comprehend that number when I'm this tired, but also partially because it feels in the last few years like Xbox and PS have marketed more towards adults, and Switch is very much the family /kids /Nintendo console. You know what I mean? I'm not saying there's not a big adult market for Nintendo as well, but I'm saying that I think they've positioned themselves really well to sort of get the family market in. And
I would agree with that.
So them selling huge numbers kind of doesn't surprise me because of that factor, really.
Well, my biggest thing with like the number sounds massive. It's like, well, the Wii U sold 13.5 million and this is sold. I mean, wow, they've done this incredible thing. But what they've actually just done is merged their handheld and home console market, which the other two didn't have. I mean, obviously PlayStation had Vita and all that kind of stuff, but let's forget for that. They focused on the home console. Now, Nintendo folded those together, and if they weren't going to sell 130 million units, Nintendo would probably figure that this generation would be a failure for them. And that's amazing to say, like, when you've just sold 13.5 million units of your previous console, if their expectation would be that they'd sell this many, because they folded their handheld system into their home console, and they've lost those sales because they folded together. So I think Nintendo have just had an absolute masterstroke and gone, look, kids play handhelds more. A lot of adults like to play indies on handhelds. Like this is the indie market's getting bigger,
haven't they?
Absolutely.
This. So
yes,
I was just going to say, you got to bear that in mind. Obviously, with the Wii selling so much, and obviously the S family selling so much, that's two separate systems. They didn't work together in a way which the Switch can just solely do on its own, which covers all bases. So there's a lot less research and development. There's a lot less logistical stuff they got to figure out.
Yeah, so you bang on. Think about marketing. When you market, like, you've got two different teams marketing your DS and your Wii. Like, when you can actually just focus all of your efforts on a game that will play on any of your family of consoles.
Exactly.
That's where you want it to be.
Yeah.
And now the Switch is in this position where it's significantly underpowered compared to the others, but it's still just rolling along.
I'm really interested to see what they do with the next console. They're going to have to...
Yes.
I mean, I know that would have been said when the Wii was a thing. Like, forget the Wii U, it was a fucking disaster. But no one could have seen what Switch was going to be and how monstrous it would be. So what are they going to do next? Because that's Nintendo's thing, isn't it? They've always innovated in such a way which is clever and lasting as well.
And they may be the first people to not have a clean break of console to go to a Switch 2. And actually, they just iteratively make a new Switch, and it always plays back compatible games, and it just gets better and better. And eventually, the old ones will not... You can't play those games, and it just moves on. And they may be the first people to actually try to do that business model as opposed to a clean break.
Yeah, definitely.
So, that's my story.
Fantastic. Well, and I suppose the final sort of big news of this week was Sony again, wasn't it? So, Sony are expecting to release 10 live service games prior to March 2026. That was the news itself. I should probably have gone in with the headline. A few days after the announcement of the intended purchase of Bungie for $3.6 billion, when speaking as part of an investor presentation, Sony executive Hiroki Totoki said Bungie would aid PlayStation in this major expansion of live service game development. The direct quote is, "The strategic significance of this acquisition lies not only in obtaining the highly successful Destiny franchise, as well as a major new IP Bungie is currently developing, but also incorporating into the Sony group the expertise and technologies Bungie has developed in the live game services space. Through close collaboration between Bungie and PlayStation Studios, we aim to launch more than 10 live service games by the fiscal year ending March 2026. So,
a lot of games.
Yeah, and it's a bit of a shift change for PlayStation as well, isn't it? Because they are all about the big franchise one-off releases, and they seem to have committed hard to that in almost every aspect. And then we get this, and you're like, okay.
Does anybody else immediately think if Sony are pushing this many live service games, that they're going to be cannibalizing their own audience in every single game? Because does anybody else think that? I don't know. Live service games, you can't play 10 of them. Like, if you're into games, you can't be having 10 of them.
But you got to think of how many, like, if they let's just say if they had the 10 live service game franchises and that's it, that was what their platform was all about.
But we know they're making like 26 games, don't we? We had that thing last year. It said they're going to make 26 IP, like they're going to have 26. What was it? It's like 16 of which were new IPs.
Something like
and
that.
They had 26 games in development or something.
It's a slow. I guess this is a slow burn more than anything, and they're trying by having they're cornering the single player market and also dipping their toes. Well, say dipping their toes, they're fucking head first in diving in, aren't they, with the live service side? But what with Destiny, it's a hugely popular game, isn't it?
Fucking smashed it. It smashed it.
The amount of recurring players that go back time and time again because it's constantly being updated, and then you've got your new story beats and all that kind of stuff, and they're raking in the money. So
I saw somebody on Twitter the other day say, "Oh no, Destiny 2's gone to shit." Like when somebody was saying about how good their continue updates and stuff, and he was like, Destiny 2's gone to shit. I've played 3,000 hours of Destiny 1, 3,000 hours of Destiny 2, but the last year I've only played 100 hours or something. I've only played 200 hours or something. I was like, what are you talking about, man? Like, they're looking at your numbers and going, we've smashed it. Like just because you can't play 20 hours a day every single day doesn't mean they're not delivering.
He's probably just pissed off with himself that he can't play it as much as he used to.
They're killing it though, and how they've done it, and then their move to free to play and all this kind of stuff. Like you got to have admiration for Bungie. They've absolutely killed that
for sure. Yeah. And I think the most interesting one, obviously, here is the idea of Bungie's new franchise, which we know goes by the codename Matter at this point. So that's going to be a really interesting thing to see, partially because of how well they smashed Destiny, and obviously because they produced Halo to begin with as well. But it's also not a PlayStation exclusive.
No.
So is it just going to be PC it's on as well, or is it going to come to Xbox?
What, Destiny, you mean?
No, Matter, the new one, yeah.
Well, look, they've said a lot of things so far, and I'm sure things can change in the years to come. Like, by the time these new IPs come out, just as when the contractual agreements on the new CODs run out, and it comes time to when Xbox could put it onto Game Pass and only Game Pass, that may happen. And then any Destiny and Bungie IP is only on PlayStation. I don't think we know. I think everyone tries to play nicey nice until pen is dry. Yeah. And you know what I mean? Like,
this is a interesting fact for you. There's about just over 1 million active players on Destiny 2. That was as of September last year. I imagine it's not too different now, to be honest with you, especially with the Witch Queen expansion. But
exactly, yeah.
You think that's not that many people when you think about it. So if they did make it exclusive to the PlayStation, how many of those players are actually elsewhere on Xbox or PC as well? You know.
You're saying to sell PlayStations, it wouldn't be. It would. I understand what you're saying in terms of it doesn't move the dial in terms of.
No, so don't make it. Yeah. Don't cut your nose off, spite your face. Like with that, and I think they said that already, didn't they? With regards to we're going to keep it on, we're going to keep it multi-platform.
That probably is a really good point, actually.
I don't get it. It's not that much. If it was like 100 million players, fine, I could understand that. But it's 1 million players.
I mean, it is a lot because I think obviously World of Warcraft has like 3 million or 4 million or something. So it is big for a game that we're not saying it's small in terms of numbers of playing a game because it's fucking monstrous, but. You're right in terms of moving the dial for console sales. It's not. So maybe it is in their interest to just probably in this acquisition now from this, they probably will have just people in Bungie that really know how to make a live service game. And they've agreed that they're part of Sony now and they will share that expertise and work across other games. And, fucking Naughty Dog making Last of Us multiplayer. Oh, guess what? Head of Bungie, who knows all about the live service stuff, he's joined your team while you get this off the ground and all this kind of stuff. So maybe that's the big thing here.
Maybe.
I mean, just to correct you slightly there, Ben, World of Warcraft is still at like 6 million average monthly. But yes, you do have a very good point.
The number is really, the point is still exactly the same. It doesn't make a difference.
I'm just defending one of my old IPs.
World of Warcraft is obviously the biggest
6 million
MMO.
People out there furious by that comment. So.
Yeah, precisely.
Well, we ran through them recently, didn't we? Because it was that and then Knights of... What's the name of it? Old Republic, isn't it?
The Old Republic.
It's just the Old Republic. That's like number 2 now, or number 3 after Final Fantasy.
Yeah, exactly.
So those 3 games themselves have like 10, 11, 12 million people. It's crazy. Yeah. Absolutely crazy.
Yeah. Anyway, I feel I should probably round up with the other options that people have suggested for what might be on this list of 10 games, guys. So obviously, as mentioned, Matter, the new the code name for the new Bungie franchise. There's a lot of thought suggesting that the Last of Us multiplayer would be another one of these.
Yeah.
Which we know is coming. There's the project known as Twisted Metal coming from Firesprite, which I know absolutely nothing about other than its name, but the suggestion is it's either live service or battle pass. And then we know that Guerrilla, who are behind Horizon Zero Dawn, have been hiring roles lately about online game development. So obviously the suggestion is it's some kind of multiplayer spin-off for that, which could work, I guess. And we know Deviation Games are working on something, the guys who created Call of Duty Black Ops. So that's a good selection of options already. And then there's the London studio of Sony, who are making an online game, and whatever Haven Studios are doing. So we already may know 7 or 8 of these things, at least in theory. But it will be interesting to see where the other ones come from. And it's going to be interesting to see how they action these.
They've got so many studios, just like Microsoft has. It's not surprising that they've got 10 live service games coming, I suppose.
Yeah, if anything, there should be more. I'm disappointed.
and that category of live service probably does apply to so many games, from MMO through to like a Halo Infinite kind of multiplayer situation. They don't all mean the same thing, I suppose.
Yeah, I suppose that. And when you get to the ones that start having repeating DLC for ages, like we talk about games for a decade, Skyrim made that comment. Bethesda made that comment about Skyrim being a game for a decade because they kept working on it for that long.
Yeah.
Do we start including those? Like, they're still a live service for quite a while.
I know what you mean. I don't know the strictest definition.
Yeah.
So yeah, it could be a wide variety of games.
Indeed. Anyway, I think it's time to move on, and I'm so glad you spoke up in that bit, Eddie, because you've been silent for like 10 minutes and I thought you'd disappeared. So now you're onto the new releases and you get to lead. Yeah, he might have passed out. It's been a very long weekend.
Very close to that. It's been a long day. First one, Unbound Worlds Apart, coming out on PlayStation's February 9th and Xbox's February 11th. Summon portals to overcome vicious beasts, devious puzzles, and fiendish platforming challenges. I swear Pete just tries to find the most complex ones, just to hear me mess up, I swear. Master the unique powers of each portal to stop the collapse of reality while exploring lush, hand-drawn worlds and unravelling a deep narrative full of mysteries. This game is best described as a puzzle platformer. I'm probably going to get shouted at by these guys because they love it, but I'm getting a lot of Ori vibes about it.
No shouting here. I agree.
I actually agree with you. Yeah, I think it's like partway between Ori and Hollow Knight for me in how it looks.
This is the game with the blue and the red characters, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. This is a sequel.
The red character to.
Wait, do you mean
I haven't looked at this game.
Do you mean Unraveled?
Unraveled. Okay, yes, that's what I do mean.
Yeah, no,
right,
not
that
this.
makes no.
It's
That's
not that.
definitely
Okay,
not this. No.
No,
the
it's
main
not.
character in this, weirdly looks exactly like a character from Final Fantasy IX.
I really
just in a
should
different
research
place.
this.
Oh,
It would have been handy. It would have been handy. Yeah, I'm glad you went in so strong, having not done any research at all. But I think this looks really nice.
Oh, and he is a red character.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's why you led us
looks
astray.
like one
there.
of those Disney characters. Do you remember him? Is it a Disney character?
Yeah,
he's also the
in one of
classic
the
Black Mage.
old.
Do you mean Fantasia?
Yeah,
I
he
think
does.
so.
That's what I was talking
I think
about.
so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it does.
Yeah.
But it is
No,
the
I
Black
think it
Mages from
looks
Final
great.
Fantasy as well. Like, spot on.
Oh yeah, now I'm looking at it. It definitely has Ori vibes in it. Yeah, I think the art style is quite nice, isn't it?
Yeah, it looks fantastic to me. I'll be really interested to see it.
A bit weird that it's a 2-day difference on the PlayStation and Xbox releases.
Yeah.
It's weird, isn't it?
So everyone buys a PlayStation to buy it. That's why.
Yeah, of course, yeah, just for those extra 2 days.
we are talking on a podcast with Ben here, so
Yeah, that's a good point. If he didn't already own them, he might have considered it.
Oh, exactly. Right, next one. Crossfire X coming out on Xbox's Game Pass day one. Woohoo!
Game Pass.
February 10th. Not on PC. Multiplayer is free on Xbox even without Game Pass. Experience thrilling competitive multiplayer and a cinematic campaign that reintroduces epic storytelling to the first-person genre. This is Crossfire X. They didn't need to include that last bit because you usually read the title above it. But It looks like any old first-person shooter to me. I also don't think it'll do well because of all the competition out there. I know a lot of these die a painful death.
It's a crowded space, isn't it?
It's a crowded space, yeah.
I mean, the Crossfire is one of the best selling first-person shooters ever.
Yeah.
It's had 600 million players in Asia.
Yeah, but I don't think it's going to do well.
It is on Xbox, and that is a problem because in the Asian market it doesn't really sell. But yeah, did anybody see the original trailers for this? Anybody remember the original trailers?
I don't remember it.
They were fucking awesome. Like, they were absolutely insane. Like, it looked like a fantastic game, and it's really focusing on the campaign as well as the multiplayer, because Remedy are doing the campaign, whereas the multiplayer is made by the same people who make Crossfire, the same team that have done really successfully with the original Crossfire. So people thought the campaign was going to be awesome because of all the trailers and everything, but the previews have been really disappointing. Like, if anybody wants to watch it, I watched IGN's preview of it earlier, and they were just like, this is real lackluster. And it's exactly what you guys are saying, like, about what your expectations are. Like, and it's just, that's a real shame. I was really looking forward to this one.
I mean, at least it's Game Pass.
Yeah, so
you have to drop 70 quid on it to have a go.
It's not even Game Pass, it's just free on Xbox. It's literally just free on Xbox.
The multiplayer is free on Xbox.
Yeah.
But the campaign does look from what I saw, it does look a bit like, it gets 360 vibes from like the AI and stuff like that. I don't know. It's just, it's a shame because I thought it looked really awesome in the trailers.
Yeah, when I've been looking at the multiplayer, and it just all looks like everything else. I mean, they've got it looks like you can use certain powers, like you can be invisible and stuff, which is great that they're trying to bring something else to it. But I mean, come on, it's a stacked genre.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is stacked. Okay. But it's probably a good move. It's on Game Pass, just like you said.
Yeah, absolutely. Edge of Eternity, PS5, Xboxes, and PS4. There you go. February 10th. Wage epic turn-based battles as you follow Darion.
Let's go.
Fucking easy doing new releases, isn't it? You dickhead.
Well, it should be Darion. That's a normal name, isn't it?
Is it?
Yeah. Well, no. Let's go on to the next name. And Celine.
Celine.
So that's nice and easy. On their quest to find a cure to the all-consuming corrosion in the grand tale of hope and sacrifice, created by a small team of passionate JRPG lovers. You know what's funny? When I read the description, and I swear I've seen this game before, I thought this was going to be awful, but it looks nice. The voice acting seems really good. The battles seem cool. It's a huge open world. It's 50 plus hours. And on paper, it actually looks really, really good. But you know what? This game actually reminds me a bit of Outward, a game that I reviewed about 6 months ago. And Outward, on paper, looked incredible. And I don't know if you remember, but I was begging people to tell me what the fuck was wrong with it, because it just wasn't good. So, what do you think, guys?
Well, I think I can improve your day slightly, because you can try it out for free on Game Pass.
Oh, nice. And oddly enough, I might actually do that, because it reminds me an awful lot of the classic Final Fantasy look, doesn't it?
I was going to say that.
Yeah.
So
the people, don't they? The people look like it.
Massively, and even the voice acting, the way they've done it,
the art style
really
as well
channels it. Yeah. So if it's actually free on Game Pass, I might well jump on and have a go.
Yeah, I've just checked.
Find out if it's Darion, or some other combination of that name. Daron, there you go.
Daron.
Yeah. I like Daron better. We'll get them to change it. I would probably play this, and it's one of those games that if it is good, then you could play it a lot, couldn't you? I reckon.
Yeah, 50
plus hours. Yeah.
50 plus hours, maybe even more. If you're Ben, more like 100.
More like 100.
Next one, Eglia Rebirth, coming out on Switch February 10th. With the crossings of their paths, a new legend is born. Win simple, intuitive dice roll battles to find more eggs and make Eglia thrive. I clicked on the link and I was like, wow, hang on, this looks nothing like the description. This looks amazing. It looks quite, I swear I've seen this, but wow, oh my god, look at these mechanics. Then I saw that it was a YouTube ad for Expedition Rome. Then I click skip ad, and my God, this looks horrendous. Apparently, the writing is very good, and it's quite funny, and the whole game is quite charming. And the hex-based combat looks pretty bad. It looks terrible. But having said that, I've seen a lot of people defend this. So
yeah, I did the same thing as you, Eddie. I clicked the link and just said no and closed the window.
It's
not to us. It's not for us.
What I do with games now, because I look at this and go, this looks like crap. I go, here we go. Ben's going to go, well, did you know that in Japan, 14 people bought it? So I always go a bit deeper. And to be fair, a lot of people are defending this and going like, oh, no, it's really good. So, yeah.
Not a fan of the name.
Your impression of Ben was even better, though. That was fantastic.
Yeah, spot on, wasn't it?
It's so good.
Yeah, I appreciated it, yeah.
We should have said to the listeners that was actually me doing an impression of Ben, because they might have thought that was Ben.
They could have got confused.
It was actually just Ben talking at that moment.
Fantastic.
The next one, this gave me even more of a headache than I already have. Kingdom Hearts. There's loads of numbers here. Ben's just kind of spammed it. It's coming out everywhere. It's all coming out on February 10th to Switch. You got 1.5, 2.5, 2.8, 3. Yeah,
they're all cloud versions. That's the problem, though. Kingdom Hearts finally coming to Switch, all cloud versions, and I don't think they run particularly well. I think that's I think that's what I've heard, that they it's cloud and it's just not working properly. So I think Kingdom Hearts is on every platform. If you love Kingdom Hearts and you have to have it on Switch, then yeah, fair play. But you could probably pick it up for a fraction of the price on anything else.
Yes.
And it run better natively. So that would probably be a recommendation.
I imagine as well that at least the first one would play on the Xbox fridge, so you probably don't need a Switch for it. I mean, yeah, they're old, but yeah, enjoy.
Yeah,
I don't think anyone is going to enjoy it, are they?
No, very few.
Not if they had a cloud version.
I mean, there's a big Kingdom Hearts community.
Yeah,
there is. That is true.
Kingdom Hearts
community. There's the big one. In Asia, maybe, Ben?
Yeah, 14 players.
I think everywhere, but probably not on the Switch.
Right, okay. Let's move on to Out There, Oceans of Time. Coming out on PC, February 10th. Out There, Oceans of Time is a space exploration game that puts you at the helm of an interstellar mission of discovery spanning a vast and vibrant cosmos. So you're a captain of a ship. You explore. Apparently it's got a good story with multiple endings, judging by what you do. It's a 1980s art style, as they describe it. The only thing that looks good to this game to me is the ship mechanics look quite cool, that you have to chop and change things. It looks quite fun to do, but apart from that, it looks very linear and it doesn't look that good. But what do you guys think?
It's an interesting one. I like the story, and from what I've seen, I quite like the style, but I'm wondering how much is actually there.
Yeah, I'm the same. I'm exactly the same. I thought the general look of it didn't put me off, and I thought, wow, that's quite intriguing. So, but it's probably not one that I jump at. I need somebody else to play it and go, yeah, actually, that's really good.
It's for me, the genre's there. That I like the genre.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
There was something about the game. I think it was when they always go for the 1980s art style. I think it loses the immersion for me. So it kind of puts me off.
It did surprise me a little bit because I thought you were going to be all in on this one. So
yeah, it's just when I watch videos of it, it's just one of those that I could very much. You just know you're playing a game when you play games like that. I don't want to do that. I want to pretend I'm the captain of that spaceship going through the cosmos.
Of course, RimWorld allowing you to buy in completely. Yes, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Because the graphics are so good in RimWorld, you can just... Sometimes I get lost. I think it's me. I'm like, whoa, actually, no, I'm not getting shot at. Yeah.
I do find it weird when I'm not looking down on a 2D version of myself on screen in a game, because, I mean, how else do any of us perceive the world? It's just...
And when you look in the mirror, you don't see 1 pixel.
Yeah, precisely, yeah. But I think this one, for me at least, ultimately is I'll watch a few video reviews. If they're good enough, I'll pick it up on the summer sale.
Yeah.
That's where I lie with that one.
Yeah. Developers are crying, but still. Yes,
They
that's exactly
need to
what I'll
know.
do too. So. Next one, Lost Ark, coming out on PC February 11th. Embark on an odyssey for the Lost Ark in a vast, vibrant world. Explore new lands, seek out lost treasures, and test yourself in thrilling action combat in the action-packed, free-to-play RPG. The good things about this game is the menus are quite good. The player progression looks quite good. I've got to admit, as soon as I see free-to-play on PC, that to me just screams that it's going to be a terrible game. Any thoughts?
I like it.
Why? Because all games that you play on like Steam that's free is just awful. For example, once when I showed Steam to my mum for the first time, it was only like a year ago. And I was going, and she was like, "No, I only want the free games." And I installed so many free games just to try and find one that was average. And
should have shown her Destiny.
My mum, my 70-year-old mother, who thinks Bejeweled Blitz is too complex. What do you want?
Isn't she level 1000 or something?
Yeah, she is. Yeah, but that's because she puts 12 hours a day in it. So
honestly, she'd be dominating Destiny if you had done by now.
I do think I remember seeing Lost Ark originally like 6 months ago, just like advertised somewhere, and I thought, wow, that looks cool. And unfortunately, I had the same reaction that Eddie does to it when it's completely free to play, where you're like, okay. But then I have seen videos in preparation for this, like looking at this, looking at the latest videos and stuff. I thought it looked pretty cool. Like I thought it looked pretty good. It's an MMO. It's like
this is the thing. I find it weird they didn't mention it's an MMO in that little blurb when I pulled it.
But it is,
because you're like, an MMO being free to play makes more sense. Look at Knights of the Old Republic, or the Old
exactly.
Republic. Look at Destiny. So
you bang on, yeah. And you monetize later, or they add in monetization through microtransactions or something like that, and it all kind of makes sense in an MMO setting. MMO, when people are interested in MMOs, a lot of people are already playing an MMO, so you have to drag them away from what they're already playing. You don't do that by getting them to pay for a game.
Yeah.
So I can understand it being free to play, being an MMO, and I'm always interested in new MMOs because I romanticize the idea of playing one, but I never do. So I'm always interested in the latest big one that could be awesome, because then I jump on to be in there from the start. But
you won't.
But I won't.
You never will. Yeah.
I never will.
all right, next one. Call of Duty Warzone Season 2 coming out on February 14th.
What's that one?
You know what? I so don't care. I didn't even look. All I put is, I hope it's better quality when me and Ben jumped on last month.
You don't need to.
Yeah.
It's fucking Warzone. You know what it is. If you like it,
great.
If you don't,
you don't know what it is though, because we jumped back in. We were Eddie and our group that were playing Warzone. We were like, yeah, okay, let's go back in. It's a new map. Let's try it out. It was so bad, wasn't it, Eddie?
Oh, it was unplayable.
It was unplayable.
Yeah. I mean, we gave it more of a chance.
You were in a horror game.
Because Jack wanted to leave after one game, but I was like, no, let's actually like put an hour in, and yeah, it was just
It was running at like 15 frames a second. Jack was
livid.
Like, no, he was like a pixelated triangle.
Yes,
he was out of that Japanese horror game earlier, the Bethesda one. It was like something out of that. It was weird.
Yeah, so bad.
Awful.
So, congratulations to anyone still playing it. Oh, I salute you.
That's the problem. It probably is fixed to a large extent, and that's probably not, is it? But we were willing to go back in.
Yeah.
And they released that in such a state that we just took one look and went, did an hour. I said, no, we can't.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a shame.
And we were diehard Warzone fans for a long, long time. So
we played it every night for like months, didn't we?
Yeah, exactly.
It was honestly sickening. But yes, I'm glad it's dead. I'm so glad it's dead.
Long live Halo.
The new one's out in days. Yeah.
Long live Halo. That's not going so well. I don't know if you've seen. Oh dear.
What's next?
Infanax. Coming out on PC, Xboxes, PlayStation, Switch. Game Pass Day 1, everyone. Coming out on February 14th. Infanax is the adventures of a great knight who returns to his homeland, only to find it plagued with unholy magic, uncover the mysteries of the curse, and face the consequences of your actions. Looks like a 1980s game, but they do admit this in like the description. It's like a side-scrolling. It
annoys me. It annoys me, this kind of stuff, because I like playing games of this era back along when a game came out in that era. Now I don't want to play a game that looks like that. I want to play a game that is newer.
Some people do though.
Take all those mechanics, great. Bring them up to date, great. Don't make it look like something that's 30, 40 years old.
Well, it's just the art style, isn't it? Like, that's, that's...
Is it a fucking art style?
Is it an art style, or is it because they were limited at the time with the technology that they had? Can you call that an art style?
Well, it's a modern... Yeah, you're right. The technological limitations back in the day. But now, you get games like Carry On that came out, which people love that art style and stuff like that. It's
true. There is still a big market who really like that style of game. Unfortunately, it's just none of us.
We just had a Bloodborne demake come out. So, and it's killed it. Like, that's... People do love older style looking games. It's just that, for me, it puts me off. But... And evidently it does to you, but there are people out there. It's
I'm not shitting on them. I'm shitting on the game.
Well, it sounded like you were.
I'm shitting on those people.
Right. Okay. Eddie does not represent the views of Grumpy Gamers.
No, even in an official capacity, Eddie.
Gamers. There's a reason why they're releasing it on Valentine's Day. It's because they all don't have girlfriends.
Wow.
Ben's going to take a long time editing that bit out.
It reminds me.
Anyway,
it reminds me a lot of the original Castlevania art style. Let's go with that and let's move on.
Okay. Linking it to a really popular game. That was a good nice one. Dynasty Warriors 9 Empires coming out on PC, PlayStation, Xboxes and Switch February 15th. A new release of the Empires series features a mix of thrilling action and country-captured simulation. Experience the human drama of the Three Kingdoms in a way only Empires can provide. Fight exciting castle sieges and manipulate the country's politics. Welcome to the Empires experience. I'm an absolute veteran with Dynasty Warrior games. I fucking loved Empires, the first one that came up. I thought it was so good. But what I found with all the Empire games is they are so hit and miss, it's beyond belief. They even take away mechanics in certain games for some unknown reason. So the reason for that, and another reason is the fact that they're always so expensive. I'm not going to get it. But I think a lot of people will. These are really popular. So any thoughts from you guys?
I'd much rather play, from the looks of it, one of these Empires games rather than just a standard Dynasty Warriors or spin-off type game.
Yeah, let me explain the differences, Ben.
If you could.
Dynasty Warriors games are just hack and slash. It's for people who enjoy the simplicity of it all and enjoy the old ancient Chinese history books. Empires and Tactics, they had a few Tactics games as well. They're more tactical. They have choices outside of combat. You can recruit people. You can make choices. But as I said, unfortunately, that they wildly mix it up to the fact where some games are brilliant and some games are bad. And when you're paying 50 odd quid for one of these games, it's a big risk to just dive in and hope it's good again.
Yeah, it's an interesting. When I looked at it, I was like, "Oh, this is intriguing." And then look at and what you're saying and what they've written. It sounds like it could be really good. But it probably will sell well because they obviously do.
Yeah, it's actually already on Steam, by the way.
Right.
This one, and apparently was released in December, but I think the difference is it was a non-English language version.
Oh, yeah.
And it still has a big disclaimer there saying English language not supported.
Does it have ratings?
It's 55 quid. It's 55 quid for this. Oof. And ratings are heavily mixed. And I mean, mixed is literally all of them.
Yeah.
It's pretty much dead on 50% are positive. So that...
It's these games and Romance of the Three Kingdoms. I have the latest Romance of the Three Kingdoms on my wish list, and it's 55 quid. It never comes down on sale, and it's also not English supported at the moment. But it's the problem with these games. I think because they sell so wildly in the Asian market that they just keep the price really high. And the problem is people like me who isn't willing to take a risk on these games. It's never going to happen.
Yeah,
because what happened to you in Battlefield, eh?
Well,
he didn't regret that though.
I didn't.
This is the thing, isn't it? This is the thing, isn't it, Eddie? I love the setting, and obviously love the idea of doing the like political actions as well. Yeah. But I'm not going to take a punt on it, and it's not going to come on sale.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. You know what? Like my most replayed game ever is Dynasty Warriors. No, not Dynasty Warriors. Romance of the Three Kingdoms. Obviously, the same time period in China. I think 7, and I still play it on my PlayStation 2. I literally plug it all in. It takes me ages, and I find a TV that's so old that I can put the old. Yeah,
I'm sure you've told me you like to do that once a year or something when you go to visit your parents.
Yeah, and it's because the mechanics are so good. But the problem is with these games, for some reason, they take them out and take them in. I've played, I think it's Romance of the Three Kingdoms 14, I think, and it is just a completely different game. It's one of the worst games I've ever played, and I think I paid like £35 for it. Which, to a normal game's average, but to me, that is, I had to sell my house, So, yeah, it's big risk. But, as I said, people who like Dynasty Warriors game are probably going to buy it anyway, and they're probably going to love it. So, yeah, there you go. That's it from this week, guys.
Fantastic. Pretty packed week of new releases, really.
Yeah, it's nice.
Exactly, yeah. We are. It's a very busy February. It remains so.
I love it.
So if anything, this should be the 1 week which isn't packed with a big hitter, but still going to probably try Crossfire.
Yeah, and I mean, there's a couple in there I'm definitely going to give a go. I think Unbound is definitely one I've got to try at some stage. But for now, it's on to what we've actually been playing as opposed to what we might want to play. And as happens quite often, I have literally nothing. So we will move swiftly on from me and pass it to, should we say, Kirk?
Oh, shit. All right.
Do you want to pass it to me? Because I haven't been playing anything either.
There we go. Go on, let's do Eddie first. Fantastic.
I've been playing State of Decay 2. The game that I came out in May 2018 and the game that I reviewed a long time ago, probably last year. For those of you who don't know, very quickly, it's an Undead Labs game. It's a zombie game. The reason why I jumped onto it is because I've been watching Walking Dead again. With the missus.
Nice. Of course, yeah.
And of course that makes me go, I want to play a zombie game. So State of Decay 2 was already on my purchase games. You know what? Look, it's an amazing game for the mechanics. It's like you've got base building, and all your decisions actually affect your in-game decision, kind of strength and endurance. It really helps you out. It's really good in the sense of it's got an autosave function that you can't load unless you quit the game. So when your character dies, because there's permadeath, they probably die, and there's nothing you can do about it. And you spend ages like training up this person to be the exact person you want them to be. Each person has their own skills, so they really matter. Even with like outside of when you're running around, it can help out your base. It can mean that you like build certain weapons and whatnot. And the other mechanics are it's endless. So you got the 5 different difficulties, and it is insanely hard, the top difficulty. So that makes me want to play it. Going back to what you were saying last week about your difficulty in gaming, I find it imperative that the difficulty is hard. Well, at least there's a hard option. And this has got it. And it's endless because they've got boons that make you go on to the next map and harder difficulty. So I have been playing so much of this week. And I'm probably going to carry on playing it.
I see every time I log on to my Xbox, I see that you're online playing it. Like you've been smashing it. I actually just had a look and saw how long you've played it. You've played it well over like 150 odd hours, I think.
Oh, really? Is that what it says?
Yeah.
You need to show me where the fuck I can see these hours. But yeah,
it's quite interesting.
I knew it was going to be big because I played it a lot back in the day. And then when I've been playing it this week, I'll be honest, the missus has been away. So obviously I've been able to hit the gaming hard. You know, it's annoying. I've got 4 games that I bought over the last 4 weeks. And I was like, right, you can smash these out now and you can talk about all of them. Nah, State of Decay 2, mate.
You've still got a couple of developer codes that we got. And you just haven't played the game. Like, literally.
Industry's a time.
We have your game. We'll review your game. Yeah.
Ben,
brilliant. Thank you very much.
Ben, I take what you're saying, but he was watching The Walking Dead. And
obviously, yeah.
I would like to point out that matching your TV and your game is like one of the best things to do.
It's
like
that is it.
RimWorld and Firefly, Stellaris and The Expanse. All of these, they're incredible. They're so good. Watching the football and Championship Manager. Come on, come on.
I understand.
That's probably why I play so much Football Manager. Not in the summer though. Not when the football's over. But that's me. Sorry, Kurt, do you want to go?
Oh no, don't go, Kurt, because I've got two. So I'll finish off talking about Pokemon from last week first, I think. That makes sense.
Does no one want Kirk to talk?
I've not been playing anything, so don't worry about it. Let's just go. Should we just move on to the feature, boys?
Do you want to just call it a night, Kirk? We'll carry on.
Knock it off. See you later.
No, go on, Ben. Tell us more about Pokemon first.
I'll just round up Pokemon because I've finished it. So I don't want to go huge into it, but if I'm basically echoing what I said last week. It's
still love it.
It's my best Pokemon experience that I've played. I think
better than the greatest RPG of all time.
I think this is a better game. Yeah, I think this is a better game.
Big statement. Okay.
But what I would say is it does highlight real big flaws that the series has always had, and now is more evident because they have this more modern game and they've got some things lagging behind. So the good is obviously the open world areas are awesome. Catching Pokemon, battling, it's never been so seamless. It's fantastic. The difficulty is better. Previous games have been far too easy. And actually, I know people are shitting all over the graphics, but I think they look pretty good. I showed you, Eddie, what they look like. You went, wow, that looks great. Pretty good.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think it looks pretty good, especially for what it is. It's really, really excellent. But the bad, it stands out like a sore thumb. I said last week that storytelling in Pokemon games needs to be rethought. It's boring as shit. It's so shit. Like knowing that you're completing a quest, one of the bosses or something, and you're going to get to a point where you have to click through text for 20 minutes or so. It's just fucking soul destroying. And when you've got to talk to somebody, and then it moves you to another place where you talk to them, and then it moves you back to the old place. You're, oh my God, could you not have just summarised the 2 sentences? Like, I just don't need any of this. We drove to London the other day, and I played for a couple of hours, and I think most of that was clicking text. That's the bad part they need to get over.
That needs to stop, doesn't it?
They need to work it out. So they need voice acting or something to kind of make it work a bit more. They need to, I reckon, ask a question at the start of the game. Have you played a Pokemon game before? And then they can drop a lot of the stuff and the tutorial stuff. Like the first hour and a half of this game is just boring.
I heard a lot of people say that actually. Sorry, just to jump in, but I heard a lot of people say on Twitter that the first 2-3 hours of the game were boring as shit, and they almost dropped off of the game entirely, which is quite surprising because if the first few hours of the game are that bad in a lot of people's eyes, especially fans of the series, what's the completion rate going to be like? Like, do you just go?
I think it's massive on this particular game only because people know it's a change of style and it's an open world Pokemon game. I knew that was going to be at the end. I knew I'd have that experience. There would be that, and it could be longer than an hour and a half. It's not fun. It's not a game. Like when you sign up to play this game, those first couple of hours are just boring. That's an issue, and they have that periodically through it where you have these 20-minute periods of just I don't care. Like I didn't care. I didn't know what team the person I was talking to was on. I didn't know where their alliance was, why they had a problem with the other person. I have no idea because I just clicked through. I just didn't care. But if they can integrate this into more of a mainline game, the actual mechanics, and if they added in secrets and puzzles and caves where there were genuine rewards and stuff like that into the map, then the sky's the limit. The sky's the limit. It's just
how long did it take to complete, by the way?
I think I'm at 28 hours at the moment, and I've done some extras, so I think I'm at 28.
Hefty game.
Yeah, and I haven't done the whole Pokedex or anything. Like, if you want to do the whole game, you've got so much more in it. Like, so much more. And you can take your Pokemon into Pokemon Home and put them in other games and all that kind of stuff. So, it's there's a lot to it. It may not have multiplayer, but there is actually value to building up a 99 level Pokemon to take him somewhere else onto another game or something like that. That's fantastic. So, but in my head, although the bad, it gets a pass because shamefully it's Pokemon, so I give it a pass, and which I shouldn't. And secondly, it's the first time Pokemon have done this open world thing, and I think they did an amazing job for what they're trying to do. So it's now my favourite Pokemon game. And what I'd say is it appeals to, I think, anyone in the last 20 years who has liked Pokemon at any time during that period. Like, this is the game that could get you back in. This is the game where you go, wow, that's actually quite good. Even if you just liked one 20 years ago. So that's what I'd say on it.
Fair. I mean,
very good game.
I think the thing I like most about that whole explanation there, Ben, was that I now have the image of Eddie literally chauffeuring you the entire way while you sat in the back playing Pokemon on your Switch. Which I imagine is what that journey was. Yeah.
No, you sat in the front.
I sat in the front, but a lot of it was just clicking text. So
I just assumed he'd be in the back so he could properly recline. You know.
Yeah, that would be lovely.
Have you seen Eddie's car?
Yeah, I have. We almost caught fire in it. It was fantastic.
It got you to the football, you dickhead.
Yeah, you've got us there only slightly barbecued. That's true.
Did the car set on fire again?
No, it just smoked a lot.
No, it was just smoking.
Little steam.
Little steam.
Just
definitely.
Don't worry about the engine. Don't worry, it's fine. That happens all the time.
It does actually happen all the time, though. So that's what makes it a bit. Yeah.
Nothing wrong with
It definitely doesn't mean he just needs a new car. Anyway, I think we are finally at the point where Kurt can speak, aren't we?
Do we have to? I could have another go.
Yeah, wait, hold on. Are we not going to talk about the other one, or is it?
No, you go now.
Oh, I'm going to go.
Go now. Go on. You have a go.
Are you sure? Right,
I'm not sure about it, but you have a go.
Fuck off. So I've been playing a bit of Death's Door because it came to Game Pass. I've been meaning to give it a go. It looked quite good. It seems the kind of thing that I would enjoy. And in all honesty, so far I think I've only played like an hour and a half, but I am enjoying it. I think it looked great, and the music is really nice as well. I get a lot of Ori vibes from it, and that's probably part of the reason why I kind of like it. The game throws you right in. Like, I was a bit taken back by that. I was like, okay, do I get a little bit of like a, what the mechanics like and all that? No, you go straight in, and like literally within 10 minutes, you're facing the first boss. I was like, oh, okay, and you're playing this demonic forest spirit is what the boss's name is, and it's a simple boss to fight, but it teaches you some of the game's mechanics as you're going through. I like the style of it. You guys have all seen what it looks like, right?
Yeah.
I've played it.
Yeah. I mentioned. Yeah, you remember? I remember you saying that, but I think it honestly looks fantastic, and it plays really, really well. The thing I don't like, I do find the crow it's just a bit too slow, so I do find myself pressing the A button to jump forward, like so just to get that little bit speedier. Do you know what I mean? I'm like, just keep pressing jump, and then I kind of like skip a load of enemies as I'm going through it, but the level design is very simple at this point. Like, you just have to go whack a light cube, which ends up opening a door or gives you a key, and you go and open up this door, and then a magical ladder appears that stops you having to go through the long route that you've just done to get to that section in the first place. If you die, and you will die, I have died a few times already, which was on the second boss, which isn't, again, too far in, but this boss was great. It's called Guardian of the Door. Ben, did you get to that section?
Yep, I did that one.
Yeah, you did that one? Very, very big castle, basically, that surprisingly has these tiny little legs underneath it when it's kind of not hovering and stuff, but it was he pissed me off, and he killed me 3 times, which I was quite annoyed about. And it's the kind of I saw that the design of it gives a lot of like the style from Final Fantasy, and I thought that was quite cool. But it's the whole thing is really nice. The controls are really tight. There's a lot of different kind of attacks you can do, and although the mechanics are quite simple in theory, like there's a lot of kind of, you can't do like chains or like chain combos or anything, but it takes, there's a level of mastery to it, I guess is what I'm trying to say. I did find it quite amusing. When you're playing a game and you're trying to do something and you go, for fuck's sake, there must be an easier way to like defeat this enemy or something like that. I accidentally ended up using my my sword, where you charge it up and then it kind of does like this big kind of slash with it. And I did that with this wizard enemy kind of that was there, and he shoots these like projectile orbs at you, and you can hit them straight back at him, and it kills him in one hit.
I don't think I realised that. No,
he's a really sneaky fucker as well, because he goes invisible and then he goes to a different section of your where you are, and he's basically too quick for you to go up to him and just do your simple X like slash kind of thing, and yeah, it's a nice game to play, I would say, and I think it's got enough of a challenge that I like want to carry on playing. It's not like no point to it in a moment, and one thing that I don't like is the fact that there's text. It's like Pokemon all over again. There's text to read, and then you have to read it to understand what's going on. And because it's not Pokemon, I don't know what the fuck's going on unless I read it. So that's a slight annoying thing there, but I'll push through. I want to carry on playing it. Basically, it's a fun game so far. So
just a couple of points. I wonder if you feel the same way, because I didn't die on. I think I did 3 or 4 bosses. I didn't die to any of the bosses, but I did die to like some particular enemies that I had problems with, and I think it's quite a good game for like there might always be something that does trip you up, like that you personally have trouble with. And I quite like that. The one thing that I really didn't like and why I didn't want to push on with it was because I thought the bosses were just walls of attrition. I didn't think they were hard. They were just so long. Like it went on forever.
They do go on for a bit. Yeah, no, I'll give you that.
I was just like, I can't be arsed with this. Like, because you make mistakes and you almost die, and you're like, oh my God. Like, when you get, and it does get hard, I've heard, really hard. So I kind of thought, I know where this is going to go, and it's going to lead me to getting incredibly frustrated. And I wasn't particularly feeling it.
I will say I hate attrition bosses. When there's more than like 1 or 2, having them in there as a check now and again, fine. But attrition bosses are so annoying.
Well, Kurt, don't you think that first... And maybe there's a quick way of doing all this stuff, so I'm not saying I did it right. You have people listening to this going like, well, you just didn't know how to do it. But the way I beat the first boss, it seemed to go on for ages. Like, you're doing that thing and then you hit his leg and then hit maybe the other one or something. And you have to do it about 10 times.
Well, I kept... so
where's your standard 3?
You shoot your arrows, don't you? You shoot your arrows, which then use I don't know what the kind of special power is that the arrows use, but when you shoot the arrow, that depletes. You've only got 4 of them, and it does do damage to the enemy. But then if you slash them with your sword, then you get that energy back. But it's not. I think the slashing and stuff, and obviously there are certain kind of combinations of attack that you can do which are more powerful than others. So I wonder if maybe that's what you have to learn and skillfully learn the timing of them.
Maybe. I just thought every boss that I did just took far too long for my liking.
The Guardian definitely took some time, and it did piss me off. I mean, I'm saying it's a fucking castle. But it was frustrating, and like I said, because I died 3 times, and then I think the funniest thing was the end. The 3rd time I did it, I had 1 bar of health left, and I was like, for fuck's sake, I'm going to die again, aren't I? And then I think it must have taken me about 5-6 minutes before I managed to kill him on 1 bar of health, and I was just like, that anxiety-drivenness of like, don't die. I was like, I have to do this again, fuck.
But that is what I mean, that it's a war of attrition, because the actual thing of what you're doing isn't that hard, because you could survive for 5 minutes without being hit.
Yeah.
It's just that you will be hit because it goes on so long.
You take risks, don't you, to try and... get it done quicker. So, but no, I'll carry on playing. I'll see how I get on with it, and I'll talk more about it next week.
I look forward to you doing more of it and maybe completing it, because I don't think it's particularly long. I think it might be like a 10 to 15 hour one. So if you did enjoy it, it's got such great reviews, and I didn't do it justice when I talked about it. I said that at the time. Like, it's not review for me. It's just impressions.
It's hooked me enough that I want to carry on, and it's something I'm going to play in between my really short playthrough of Resi, because I'm still doing that. But been busy, we're all busy. We've got life, but it's good. I'm liking it.
Cool, excellent. Well, I think that brings us on to the main event then, doesn't it? Which is Dying Light 2, Ben.
Yeah. Well, I as I said, I've played it today. We record on a Monday, so I've just had Monday to play it really after coming back yesterday. Far too tired to play it last night. I think I tried about 20 minutes and I was falling asleep while doing it, and I was like, this isn't the game, this is me. So the reviews on this one have been mixed, very mixed, wouldn't you say?
Yes, I've seen a lot of chatter, and it's some people loving it, some people hating it, and everyone in between.
We're on a 78 on Metacritic, but as we know, that can mean different things. But when I looked at the reviews, to be honest, like the reviews that I look to have a similar opinion to me usually and kind of steer me, they were all quite positive. And when you have some who are like in the 90 range and then others who are like in the 60 or something, I like that, because actually it may be something that's really, really good. And I did like Dying Light 1. And if you remember, I picked up on the Switch not that long ago.
You did.
I previously had it on PS4, but then played it on the Switch, and it plays great natively on that. But this just looked better in every single way. And going from a Switch version of Dying Light 1 to Dying Light 2 on PS5, like it does look substantially better. Who'd guess? But now you've got like districts, and you can build them up, and it affects the world, and it's just more stuff like that where you're like, okay, these are mechanics which are cool and are modern, and you like all that. So the other thing about this game is that the developers have said that they're going to support it with DLC and updates for 5 years. Okay. And they did that with the first one, so we know they do that. Dying Light 1, when it came out compared to what it is now, there's so many improvements, so many DLCs. It's like almost a different game. So yeah, but I've played probably about 4.5 to 5 hours today. So I've done obviously the tutorials, I've done the opening missions, I'm in the open world, I've got full access to everything, and now I'm in the game properly and doing everything, doing side quests and all that kind of stuff. For those of you that don't know Dying Light as a game, it's an open world zombie game, so following on from Eddie's last game. And I know Eddie was asking me about this and when I was going to play it when we were going to London, because very interested in zombie games right now. So yeah, it's post-apocalyptic, the world is fucked, and it's set 22 years after the first game. So, and you play Aiden, and he's finding his long-lost sister. That's the simple premise of the game, which is nice, and they set it up in the first like hour or two with nice flashbacks and all that kind of stuff, which is great. And the difference between this one and the last one, and I'm not considering this a spoiler because this is immediate in the game, is that you're infected. So, and everyone in the city that you're in is infected. So the whole title of the game being Stay Human, Dying Light 2 Stay Human, has the relevance because when it's nighttime, you have a timer at all times before you have to be under UV light to kind of get you back to that total human state. Now, that time, I believe, as your stamina increases during the game, that gets longer and stuff like that. You can get it larger, but I think at the moment I'm like 5 minutes, 20 seconds or something like that.
That's a cool touch, I will say.
It is good because I tell you what, before I go into the good and bad, like earlier, it turned to night and I realised I totally fucked up my times. It turns to night like 7:30 or something, and I was far away from where I had to go, and it was terrifying. Like I just for the next 5 minutes I knew I was going to die. And I actually did die. But I got away and avoided the chase, and I actually did it. And then the reason I died was I climbed too high and I fell to my death. So and I wasn't even close to dying at that point, because you can take these like mushrooms that enhance the time you've still got and stuff like that. So I took tons of those, and I was like, really? This is great. I'm surviving. All I have to do is get up there, and I'm done. And I fucked it. So anyway, that's how I died there. But it was terrifying and it was brilliant. And I know that will subside as you go through the game and you realise the game mechanics and it's not as bad as it is, as you think it is, and actually you avoid them in different ways. And I know that will happen. But at the moment, I really like that immersion because it was terrifying. Because at night, the zombies come out, who are usually in the day, that are affected by UV light. They come out to the streets. And so it's got that cool touch that the buildings have less or fewer zombies in them in the evening than they do during the day. So you loot the buildings at night, and you get the great loot at night, and so it encourages players to go out then and stuff like that. So it's it all works quite well. Basically, the parkour element. This game is all about parkour, so it's just pressing R1 and you jump, you swing to different places, you can climb up buildings very easily. You get a lot of skill points that throughout the game that you distribute to combat and to and parkour, basically, and just improve your character as you're going along. So the parkour is great, just like it was in the first one. The story so far, I'm actually thinking it is actually more engaging than the first one, because the start of the first one was kind of like, why are you here? What's really going on? But this one sets up the story from the outset. I have heard the mission structure does get quite repetitive and that the story is just very generic, actually. But for the first few hours, it's like, yep, that's what I needed to get going. And it does actually aid you with quite a good structured tutorial, rather than the first one, which was like, oh, now we're going to take you on a parkour course. This one is just getting you to do things like actual like story mission, which I thought was much better.
And then you do the parkouring as part of those missions, I guess.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, so it was built. The game was built a lot better at the start, I think. I've also got a stamina bar in this one, and I can't remember. I don't know if you guys ever played Dying Light 1, but I can't remember a stamina bar being in the first one. I could be completely wrong, but I think if it wasn't, great addition. And graphically, I'm playing on PS5, and I do think the character models, especially, look very impressive. And the great thing about the environments is it's got a little bit more greenery to it this time, because it's in a city base, and it looks nicer, not necessarily because of just the graphics, just the actual world is nicer. It's a bit more varied.
There's green all over the buildings as well, isn't there?
Exactly. So, yeah. And I kind of need that a little bit in my zombie game, as opposed to just like sandy dust everywhere.
Yeah, like, grey.
Buildings in grey and steel.
Because I know it's in a fucked up world, so everything's broken down and everything, but I need a bit more to it, else it gets a bit samey to me, a bit depressing. So that's good. At the moment, I haven't really met any of the bad that people have met in terms of the bugs. We hear a lot about bugs these days, but on day one, there's a 17 gig patch, over 1,000 fixes, I think. So hopefully a lot of that's got better. The one thing though, if people listening to this are thinking about getting it, is if you were into Dying Light because of its co-op, you might want to just check out the latest situation with that, because I know there have been issues. A lot of reviewers haven't been able to review co-op, and it may not be working. So the way it does work is that somebody hosts the game and other people join your game. Everybody can gain experience that they take to their own games at the end. And you can also loot, and you can take that back with you. And everybody has their own individual loot. So it's not like you're stealing the main character's loot or anything. So that's good as well. Yeah. But I don't think it's work. It's been crashing games and stuff like that, and people not being able to log in. Some people at all not being able to even log onto the servers to do online. So if that's a big thing for you with Dying Light, like it is with a lot of people, then just then check that one out before you buy. But at the moment, it's definitely one of those games that, because I think this is going to take a long time to complete, and I know they said there was 500 hours of like full content, and then they backed out and said, "No, it'll take you 25 hours to do the main story." Certain reviewers that I watch and listen to, they're at the 60 to 80 hour mark. Okay. So if you're doing side quests, and so I'm taking my time a little bit more with this. Like I've been doing a little bit of extra stuff, been doing more side quests. There's definitely been, I've got a story mission that I'm not doing at the moment, and I feel like I need to do that to get a bit more out of this game, because it definitely feels like a world, and it gives you that from the start, and I'm quite impressed with what I've seen compared to the first one. But if you like the first one, this is going to be more of the same and then some, as far as I can see. And I think the main complaint people have with it at the moment is actually around bugs and stuff. I think I'm right in saying that. So there are some points that are being said around, do your decisions actually have an impact with who you're doing stuff with at the end of the game and stuff like that? I don't know that because I haven't got there, but some people are questioning that kind of stuff. But we also know there are other good games that we have enjoyed very much, which have the illusion of choice, but ultimately it doesn't. So I'm looking forward to playing much more of this, and we have a good 2 weeks until Horizon comes out, I think. So I'm going to be smashing this one into next week.
Another 495 hours, yeah?
Yeah, exactly. Well, I had to get Pokemon done because I said to Eddie, I was like, well, I have to play it on the drive up. Sorry, mate, I have to complete it because when I get back, it's Dying Light.
You never apologise. You literally just turned it on as soon as you got it and put your head down. You never.
You just left Eddie there to look at his oil light to check it the whole way.
Just to see the steam coming off my engine.
That's the story I'll regale. Obviously, I never said anything and I just turned it on and we just carried on a conversation while I was playing. But still.
Yeah. The conversation you remember, and Eddie was sitting there going, like, why isn't he answering for hours?
The zero conversation. Ben, I've got two questions. I never played the first one because it's an expensive game. I looked on it before this podcast. It's sitting at £22. So it's always been expensive. I know it's come down a couple times on big sales, but it's always when I'm not in the mood for that kind of game.
I bought it for far less than that, though, when I got it for £10, I think.
Yeah, no, as I said, I have seen it a couple times at my price range, about £6, but it's one of those games that you need to be involved in it. I said this week to you, Ben, off the podcast, I said, if I'm not into a game when I buy it, I find myself not even playing it because I never get into that. I don't have the excitement of, I've just bought a new game because I bought it months ago and now I'm in the mood for that kind of game. But
Agreed,
with this, Dying Light, so the first question, with the parkour, is it just running towards something and then you automatically like jump over to that bit? Like Assassin's Creed, I think I'm asking.
They try to make it as seamless as possible. Right. So it is very much you jump towards something and the guy will grab on. There's a stamina bar while you're doing it all.
Okay.
So you can't do everything off the bat.
What happens if you run out of stamina? You just can't jump there, or?
You'll drop. But
cool.
It will replenish it will replenish your stamina when you're like on a flat surface or stuff. So it's not something that you generally need to worry about apart from when you're literally climbing up. But I think there is a skill to the parkour. It's just that they try to make it as seamless as possible. So you can do the running. It's the tapping at the right time and stuff, but moving around, that people will be much better at moving around and doing the parkour than I am. Like, I fell to my death. That was on me. Like, that wasn't because the game's controls were bad. That was just because I did it. I was like, fuck, damn, I am dead. It is very much just controlled with R1, but it's running, jumping, trying to get that ledge, moving to the next ledge, and trying to do it as quickly as possible. Especially when you're being chased, because it's got actual like chase levels. So it'll have like a 1 to 4 rating, I think it is, and you, depending on how I fell down, and it was in the middle of the night, and it was dark everywhere, and then I had these howlers all around me going. And I was like, okay, well, I'm fucked. Better turn the flashlight on. And then then you're just sprinting and just running into anything, and you're actually parkouring like a fucking god at that point because you have to. Like it's it's one of those games that makes you feel good when you do it all right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, that's cool. And my second question, with these games, I like the whole, with the zombies hitting, running away, but I don't know what's wrong with me, but I always need some sort of sense of progression. You said there was like districts. Is there something like out of the game with like, I know you're gonna hate me for saying this, but like bases, maybe some sort of progression with the map?
As far as I'm aware, it's about opening up new sections of the map. So the main thing, like for me at the moment in my stage, is to have enough safe points around me. Like you have to just like in the first one, you have to like free up safe zones. And like, so therefore when you're in the dark or whatever, you can go there, and you can kind of like retreat there or sleep it off and get to the morning or whatever. So there's that element. There's also this districts element, which I haven't really explored much of yet, where you can, I believe it's leveling up districts and maybe your reputation with a particular gang and stuff like that, and working with that gang. And maybe you can betray certain gangs and stuff like that. I think there's a lot of that, and your decisions affecting things. That's what the whole structure is supposed to be, right. I believe, which is more of this kind of like new gen way of making a game. So that's what's intrigued me, and I don't know how much that actually plays into the end story, but as long as it has the illusion of doing so, that's great. Yeah. Because a game like this, I'm only ever going to play once. The likelihood anyway. So, but the combat is like Skyrim in terms of its first person. So you swing in and it's basically all melee combat. But your melee combat items can get like fucking electric stuff. Like mine's got on a critical hit, it like electrocutes the guy or whatever. So it's the combat can be quite satisfying when you're hitting, and it's good because it's parkour combat as well. So when you've stunned someone at the right time, you can jump on their head over them and then kick someone else. And it's just, that's what they teach you like right at the start of the game. And it's like, okay, well, these are quite. I thought it was weird that like one of your first upgrades was, well, the first parkour combat upgrade is stepping on someone's head and then kicking someone else. So well, that is a weird first upgrade. But yeah, but it works, and the combat does feel quite satisfying, especially when you have some pretty badass weapons, which I'm just like getting to those weapons, just like, that's significantly better than the ones I've got, and you can mod them a little bit and stuff. It's not incredibly detailed, but I think it's enough to just give you a bit more. But I will be able to answer your district question a bit more next week, because that part does intrigue me as well.
Yeah, cool.
I think, even so, the most interesting thing for me about this one is that you're basically a reverse vampire. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Like, you are literally a reverse vampire. Yeah, that's wicked. So I'm really looking forward to you talking to us more about it next week, Ben.
Yeah,
I imagine you're going to love it for that reason. Yeah.
Yes. Now you've said that, I'm all in.
There we go. Just in case we got the word vampire in there. But I guess, at least until next week, we should go on to our feature, shouldn't we?
Cool. Absolutely.
Yeah. And now, obviously, as we said last week, it's the PlayStation State of Play that dropped on February 3rd. And this one presented a bit of a difficulty for us, didn't it? Because we like to focus on these big events. We like to focus on the sort of, I don't even know how to phrase it. All of these, the Nintendo Direct, PlayStation State of Play, any presentation, we love it.
Yeah.
And then this one was 32 minutes of Gran Turismo. And
right up your street.
It presented a challenge for a few of us.
I mean, I think the question was, I think Kirk said, I don't think we should do a feature on this. And I was like, nah, we shouldn't. And Pete was like,
and that's coming from me, the fan of racing games.
Yeah. I was like, do we? I don't think we should. But then Pete convinced us. So if it's not a good feature, it's all on one guy.
Wait, Pete watched it himself?
Very much so. And I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm not expecting to spend 32 minutes on this. Like, I'll make that very clear.
God knows.
10 minutes is fine. That's all we fucking need.
Yeah, but I did force Ben and Eddie to sit and watch it with me on Saturday, despite none of us really wanting to.
That was the way to get through it.
It was. And we should say, if you are a Gran Turismo fan, and if that game is the sort of exactly what you're looking for, go watch it. You'll probably love it. Because they went into one hell of a lot of detail as well.
A lot of detail.
I mean, my God. And what they talked about, and we should talk about what they showed us there, was it's a pretty fantastic looking Vroomy game. They talk about over 400 cars from pretty much every automobile brand I've ever seen. You've got 34 locations, you've got 90 different track layouts, and it's all over the world. And there's more coming as DLC because, of course, there is. It's the modern world. And I do like the way they've done the resort, which is one of the first things they go into. And it's sort of your menu screen, but much more interactive, isn't it? So I do, I think the way it looks and everything they were talking about in the way they're going to deliver this from that looked fantastic in my eyes.
Just on that look side, Pete, it looks quality just from their setup and their layout, doesn't it? Like before you go, because I'm sure you're going to go into the actual other stuff, but the actual just feel of what you've just said and because that was what they opened with, wasn't it? It's like, and they're just showing that on the screen, all the brands, everything, and just moving through those screens was like, okay, it just looks quality.
Yes,
and I think that it sounds that it's their ethos, isn't it? And that's what they're trying to put across. And they did a bloody good job at immediately looking at this from a very, very professional, wasn't it? It was very.
From the off, it's more of it's like a love letter to cars in general, because
that's the thing,
isn't it? It's like.
I've actually got that written down. I've said with the detail about how many cars there are. Even there's bits, isn't there, where you can look at the history of cars.
Yeah, so that's the GT Cafe, isn't it?
Yeah,
and,
I think this is a car enthusiast game massively. So I think whoever's helped on the designer team has gone, no, we need to do this, all to do with car enthusiasts.
Do you know what I loved about that GT Cafe as well? There's they don't do it with every single car, but they do have a lot of the original designers that on certain cars that have come in and explained why they did what they did with those cars.
They got them back.
That's awesome.
Well. Yeah,
I think they are treating this game, and I think I must have said this to Pete. It's like they're treating it like it's art, like it's true art. It's almost like they're saying this isn't a game. Several times they said this is a driving simulator, but it's like they're trying to step away from that and just say, like, this is what we've created is beautiful. Everything is thought out, and look at what we've done. It's art.
Exactly. And it almost struck me as an encyclopedia of cars at the same time. You know, it's from the comments from the manufacturers you talk about there, they've got little museum sections for each of the manufacturers as well, going back through their history, which you unlock by completing menus at the GT Cafe. Then you've got the Brand Central, I think was the name of the shop.
Yeah, that bit annoyed me. Sorry,
did it? Go on.
Yeah. Well, I was just going to say, I found that very pretentious. Very pretentious. And I know it's a game about quality, but fuck me, you go into this little underpass, and there's these escalators going up into the middle, and then left and right and up above, you've got all these like high end car things. I was like, fuck off. Like, and that's such a far cry as well from the beginning of the game. So in the GT games, you've always had to buy like a second-hand car, basically, and it's usually some form of like a dog shit compact hatchback or something that your fucking grandma would drive or something. But the thing I liked about that is, I don't know if you guys noticed it, the sales of like where you go through the cars look like proper adverts.
Yeah,
like. Do you know what I mean? Like the way that the cars were positioned with, like you could see the front end of the nose and the wheels turned in a bit, and then all of the cars were like that, all in some sort of like dingy garage background behind them. And then you go to this fucking Grand Central where it's like, well, all right, you got a few hundred thousand to spend. Go somewhere a bit fancier. But anyway, I digress. Sorry.
But you do have to buy the crappy car to start with in this one.
Well, in this one,
and they've got the markets. I love those markets. You know, the second-hand ones where you get to trawl through all of them. Honestly, I think because of that reason, it knocks the shit out of your shitty Forza game, Kirk.
We'll move on to that in a bit.
The music's brilliant. It all looks stunning. Everything looks better than Forza. But
you're killing Pete's like list of reveals.
I was going to say, we're kind of getting on to the end of this before I got through my flow. Thank you, there, guys.
Pete do his stuff.
You did want it to be short. You did say that.
I did, and you're making that very difficult because I'm only about halfway through. No, I mean, with you Eddie, I've got a very good point to make about that at the end as well here. So obviously, we've talked about the fact that you'll start with a compact car, you progress through competition as always. That's the classic part of these games in the first place. And you can upgrade and tune them all. And as we've mentioned, you can buy new cars in Brand Central, and you can buy from the used car dealership as well. And there's also the legendary dealership for the iconic cars. And frankly, that's the bit where I actually had some interest in the cars because they had some really cool ones in there. So those elements are all excellent. And as we've said, they're fantastic for the people who are really into driving or really into driving games or both. And then, obviously, you have the actual game modes of working your way up to the world circuit, going through all of the different options there. And they've all got different calendars, I believe, for events. So you can roll through loads and loads of different options. And then you've got the mini games in there as well, which goes from license testing through to things like drag racing, which are obviously fun from the moment you've got through the rest of it.
Those license tests are those have been around since the first Gran Turismo.
They have indeed.
Essentially, they are to hone your skills, but they're the kind of thing where you want to gold them. You want to,
but you also get rewards for doing so. You also get rewards for doing it in Gran Turismo 4. You got like a $300,000 car that you could sell.
Yes, you get a certain car, so obviously that will help you in your career if you do that. So play better, get a good car, then you're going to help yourself in your career a bit further on, aren't you? So
very much so. And the last one I really wanted to touch upon is there's also 2-player split screen. I think is cool.
That's cool for this gen of that graphically intense of a game. That's pretty awesome. The other, they then went off on one, didn't they, about the weather and the
precisely.
Kind of stuff.
So this is my point: is all of what I've talked about there is the first 12 minutes, and then they showed, what was it, Eddie? 2.5 minutes of one car going around a track.
Yeah,
and I just kind of
then, yeah.
I kind of spun out more than the worst crash you've seen in Formula One. I was just like,
was that the one where they're showing the music?
No, Coke. That was the second fucking time. The first time was when they were going on about the weather, and they just, you just watched the screen for 2 minutes. But you're right, Kirk, because 3 minutes after that, they spent 3 minutes on a fucking music track.
Yeah.
Who decided that?
I have some things here. Like, why were they explaining how the rain works? Like, they said it rains, the track gets wet, and then puddles form in areas that you'd expect to find them. And then when it's sunny, it gets dry, and then the puddles will disappear, but they will stay where you would expect them to stay until they're dry. Like, okay, thank you. I'm not a fucking idiot, but
there's two parts to this.
I totally agree. No, Pete.
Okay.
I agree, right? I mean, that's ridiculous. But how even more ridiculous was it when they're like, we don't do weather, we do a weather system where when the clouds form, then it has a bigger chance of, no, just make sure it rains at certain times. And then they went like, oh, we'll make sure it rains on certain bits of the track and then come over. You won't notice because you're not on the other side of the track, you dickhead. Oh my God, just let it rain. Why spend so much time and effort doing?
Again, it's what I said before. It's like Sony showcasing the quality and the degree of depth that they put into everything to evidence that they make this type of game where they think about absolutely everything, and that's why we charge £70.
Absolutely.
But no one's going to fucking notice.
Well, no, and here is the difference, and here is the dichotomy. It's on the one hand, this was a phenomenal example of that attention to quality, Ben. And on the other hand, this was probably 20 minutes of my life that I did not even need to know, and I would not notice in the game.
I completely agree. I think in the first 10 minutes, they sold me on a game that I probably wasn't going to buy.
How positive was I after about 10 minutes? I was so
but they
positive.
sold me on that, and they went, and I went, I'm probably going to get this game. And then I thought that I hated the direct or the state play or whatever. I really disliked it. But I am going to buy the game.
I've got to put a point to you there. Obviously, a lot of the stuff that they did show is just irrelevant to what many people are going to do. We don't need to know about the weather system. You're going to play, you're going to race, you're going to see it's raining, you're going to go, cool, that looks good, that looks great. The music section, I don't know who the fuck is going to play stuff like that, but what I found really, really frustrating, and I don't know if you guys felt the same, but the guy that did the voiceover was fucking annoying, man. I was just like, he's like a wet fish, and like, what are you talking about? And
they just can't get it right, can they?
Do you think it was him, or do you think it was the voiceover? Because it was so boring. And you know what? My very first note of the whole thing is it actually Turismo? Because
yes, it is Turismo.
My whole life I've been calling it Gran Turismo.
Turismo, but it's not Tor. It's
Gran
not pronounced
Turismo. Yeah, my God. I swear, because he did look like he was boring, but the voiceover, it's like they did it on purpose. Hello.
To bore you to death.
Well, I think they did because, again, it's an artistic showcase. I think they're trying to make this game out to be something that is classy, that is...
I do have one major point here, and something I haven't mentioned. Obviously, I'd like to talk about things that look great and shiny and like graphics and stuff. Now, don't get me wrong, this game does look fantastic. The cars themselves look really, really, really nice and detailed.
Yeah,
I'm not going to beat around the bush on that one. The wheels, though, on every single car that I saw, looked like an afterthought. And I don't know if that means anything to you guys, but they put so much detail into the cars themselves. The wheels, there's ray tracing in this game, right?
Yeah.
On the PS5, and the wheels just look crap. They don't look real. They look kind of like they look fake.
Maybe it's better if you go in picture mode, Kirk.
Well, yes. Well, that's a good point because they have escapes mode, don't they, Eddie?
Well, I was going to make a similar point because I'm going to be fucking furious when I buy this game and it doesn't look like that.
Yeah, well, it's fine.
What you were showing me was basically a real car. They basically showed me a real car on a screen.
They're encouraging it. They want you to place your car in 25,000 locations.
All I'm going to see is pictures on Twitter of people comparing this to like Horizon picture mode to picture mode. It's like, oh my god, I don't care about your post-processed fucking bullshit pictures. I don't care about something which looks amazing on the highest end PC that you're ever going to see. And just like with Spider-Man, they edit out the puddles so there's no reflection in them. Like it's just, I'm interested to see whether that, and they probably did say that was PS5 footage or something, but I'm interested to see how that plays on my 4K TV. Like, just like a normal 4K TV with a PS5. Like, I'm interested to see how it looks.
It's also cross generational, so I think we need to bear in mind that this game, and I don't care what anyone says, it's going to have some limitations because it was not solely designed for the PS5. Now, that brings me on to my point of comparing this to Forza Motorsport, not Horizon, which is the arcadey game. This Motorsport, which is the next one, which is it's not 8. They've confirmed it's going to be called Forza Motorsport, so it's dropping the title. But that's going to be next gen only. That's going to be on series consoles and PC only. So, but we haven't seen any gameplay yet. So it's going to be quite interesting to see how they stack up because they're both simulator games. So
but I think it is fair. And I know you say it's not fair to compare Forza Horizon to. It is fair. They're both driving games. In terms of fair. Like,
I don't agree with that.
No, in terms of delivering. Like, how much fun am I going to get from it?
Hang on. That point that you made.
I was making
before,
a point, but it's fine.
No. I have to cut you off because there was a point that I made before. This is a closed circuit racing game. They can really fine tune everything to be as perfect as they want, and it's not an open world game. So
that wasn't my point.
Sorry. So you're saying you can't compare the two because one is an open world. Well, let's be honest. You drive to a place and then race, and the other is a on-track racing game. Is that why you cannot compare these two games that have literally compared to each other in all of history?
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
fantastic.
I think graphically, Kurt's got a point because you can make things look better when it's a set scenery that doesn't change all the time. But I'm not talking about graphics. I'm saying as a driving game from a personal perspective, I think I'm more interested in this than Horizon because I've asked you on several occasions what's the point in Horizon. I've played it, I enjoyed it, and then dropped off it because there is no point to Horizon. But to this, there is more of a point.
Absolutely, with the markets
it's more
and
structure.
Having to have certain cars to race. I want to play this game. Not Forza.
Because Forza, Horizon, you can kind of do whatever you want, can't you?
Yeah. But Eddie, you don't want to play this game. Don't lie.
No, Kirk. When I saw the market, I turned to Pete and Ben. They will agree and say, "Holy fuck! I used to play one of these, and I used to love it. Buying the old cars and then racing them and trying to unlock certain cars, and then you can sell cars, can't you, in the markets? I honestly loved that shit. I loved that. Granted, more than the racing itself, but." Still, it was the fact that you actually had to work towards something. Like, I remember in the old days when I played one of them as you could only enter certain races with certain cars. And I used to go onto the used cars and try and find that car. And I'd see, I'm only like 20 grand away. So I used to do certain races and certain achievements to try and lock it. That kind of purpose makes me want to play a game, not just getting in a car and driving around the scenery.
Yeah, right. Hold on. Before you go back and forth anymore, I'm going to do something that the guy directing this State of Play should have done and say, we've been going 15 minutes, boys. I think we've probably done enough on this.
There's a crucial question. There's a crucial question. Because there is
How
a
crucial are we
question.
talking, Ben?
We're talking about Forza Motorsport compared to this. What does Forza Motorsport do any differently to Gran Turismo?
We don't know yet.
Yeah, we have no idea. There hasn't been a Forza Motorsport in how long?
5 years.
There's been 7 of them. Let's know what it does.
For 5 years. There hasn't been one for 5 years.
There's been the same amount as Gran Turismo's. But what does it do anything differently, or is it the same type of game?
It's the same type of game.
Fantastic. Okay, right.
Okay, great.
That was a fantastic point. Thank you for adding a minute onto the timer there. No, because I wanted to move on.
I thought there was going to be something more, Kirk, to be honest.
Yeah, we all expect more.
Wanted,
yeah, we all
I thought
expect
you said
more.
you can't compare them, so how can they be the same game?
No, that was Horizon, Eddie.
Horizon.
Yeah.
And, fucking hell. You don't listen, man, do you?
Anyway, the reason I wanted to move on is because the other thing here to discuss is just how disappointed were you that this was the entire State of Play? Because it bummed me out. I don't think it's a real State of Play when it's one game. Like, if you're doing a Gran Turismo showcase, do a Gran Turismo showcase. Don't call it PlayStation State of Play.
Absolutely.
Come on.
I think you made a great point, Pete, when you said this is 30 minutes. That's probably a large percentage of time that people would actually be playing the game for.
Yeah, it's mad. Like, I find it difficult enough when they do them with Horizon and they're like 10, 12 minutes. But it's still, I get that and I can understand it, but double that. And especially when half of it didn't feel anything like as sort of efficient with your time as the first 10 minutes did.
It really went off, didn't it?
Yeah, it just suddenly stretched out. And it was like, okay, you've lost me. By the end of 10 minutes, I wanted to buy this. By the end of half an hour, I just wanted it to be over.
But I thought, like, when I was thinking this, like, one of the questions that I wanted to know was, because Kirk, you obviously are the biggest racing fan here. You're looking forward to motorsport massively. Yeah. And this is a good competitor to see what the opposition are doing in this kind of respect. And if you didn't find it interesting for half an hour, like, who was?
Yeah.
I think the thing that's annoying, though, right? If I had a PS5, I would be buying this game. I do love the GT series. I really do. They are fantastic games. They've always been, well, for the most part, they've been top notch. But this as a state of play was terrible. Like you've said, it was pointless to have so fucking long of just stuff that we don't need to know. At least not in the depth that they're trying to show. Like, give us more of what the game looks like and runs like. That's what people want to see. Not what a standstill of where all the fucking rain goes.
It would have been great if they'd done a PS4, PS5 comparison of like video footage and stuff and gone, don't worry, PS4 works great. That would appeal to so much more of the audience.
Yeah,
by saying that,
but they couldn't have crammed that into their small half-an-hour time slot. They couldn't.
Yeah, of course not. Yeah, I suppose they couldn't. But yeah, Kurt, I think that's the big thing. Like, what's important to people, and I know there are true fans out there that are all over this stuff. Like, I saw one YouTube video and it said this was everything we hoped for. I was thinking, really? Is this what you were hoping for? Because I hope they never show anything like this again. That's weird. It's just weird. Somebody thinks that. That's fine. But
that's also why I started this off with. If you're a massive Gran Turismo fan, check this out. You will probably love it. But for everyone else, even up to the level of Kirk, who is a big fan, but not quite the niche that this was aiming for. And, oh my God, it annoyed me in the end.
What annoyed me the most is that they call it a state of play.
Exactly.
Like, I don't mind.
Exactly.
I just, because state of play, I got excited. It was only the day before. Was it one of you guys, or maybe it was my girlfriend who said, it's Gran Turismo only.
You know what
I was like, because I was like, what's going to be there? It's only Gran Turismo.
And I actively try and avoid news before them, so I can just go into it and see what I get. And that was a massive, massive error in this case. So I'm obviously smarting particularly from that. But on the bright side, we can expect a Nintendo Direct this month, can't we?
Well, hopefully. They usually do a February one when consoles are firing.
So. Yeah, exactly. So, we might get 30 minutes on the next Luigi's Mansion. Who knows? No, I suspect we'll get 150 games in 38 minutes or something like that.
Yes, we get 30 minutes on Splatoon 3 and they move on. Even I would go, no, please don't.
Yeah, that would be a bit much.
But it did sell me the game, so it did do a job.
Well, there we go. It sold me it and then made me backtrack on that massively as it ended. So, yeah, it's on balance. Very average.
We got a sale. So.
Yeah. But either way, that was last week's State of Play. And that was this week's episode. So how would people get in touch with us to feedback, Ben?
Well, if they disagree about Gran Turismo or with our or agree with Kirk on Forza, then they can email us at podcast@grumpygamers.co.uk. You can @Kirk on Twitter for @GrumpyGamersPod, and you can catch us on YouTube at Grumpy Gamers Podcast.
Some great videos on there.
We've got some great videos.
Including one on Forza Motorsport.
Absolutely.
Oh, we've got a new one on, haven't we? Don't we supposed to mention that?
We're going to have one up this week on Total War Warhammer 3.
Lovely.
Yes, we are.
Yeah.
Yes, we are.
Eddie and Pete.
Eddie and Pete discussing that one. So, yeah, look forward to that. It'll be up in the next couple of days.
Fantastic. But for this week, it is GG.
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 GG.